Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Artcasters number 370. And we have a guest that hasn't been on for a very long time, but he's back. And we're going to get to him in a moment. But we're going to do what we always do and go kind of around the room, the virtual room here, introduce ourselves, talk about what we have coming up, what we've got going on, anything we want to promote. And then we'll get into our topic, which should be a fun one today. So oh, man, I was going to say you're on my channel, but you're not on my channel because right now I'm not posting anything. So you are on Josh's channel. So if you want to find the stuff that I do on YouTube, you can just search Circworks Art Labs on YouTube or search Scott Circlin on YouTube, and you'll find my YouTube channel where you will find my series Making Comics 101. It is the most comprehensive free course on comics that you're going to find. It's on YouTube, so definitely check that out if you want to learn how to make comics. Plus, there's tons of other content out there, a lot of which has to do with making comics and stuff like that. And at some point, I will be back with more videos, and I'll be doing something new, but I'm taking a break from YouTube right now. You can also go to my website. It's circworks.com. Where's that? Yeah, here. Circworks.com, where I have digital tools for making comics. I've got my own comic, Young and the Dead. Oh, I was going to grab a copy, but I don't have one near me. But anyway, Young and the Dead is a kids versus zombie adventure story. Just think Goonies meets Night of the Living Dead. It's set in the 80s, full of 80s nostalgia. So if you like Goonies, if you like Monster Squad, all that stuff, it's like that, but with zombies. And the other thing that I've got coming up, so Saturday, how was I supposed to surprise?
Yes.
I'll be at Surprise Comics.
I put Scott up to that.
I'll be at Surprise Comics in Surprise, Arizona for a free comic book day. I'll be there signing copies of my book and doing sketches, and I'll bring some sketch covers and things like that. So come out and see me if you're near me. But there's also another comic book store who's going to have somebody there. So just depending on where you are, what's the closest to you. But we'll get to that in a minute because Sean's going to be doing a signing at a different comic book store, which is a great store as well. My brother's store that he goes to. But so that's me. So let's get over to Josh. Josh, what do you got going on?
I have one important statement that needs to be said on this most holy day. May the 4th be with you.
Oh, yeah.
I have to acknowledge as a complete nerd that, yes, this is May the 4th. And don't forget the great sacrifice that Darth Vader eventually made for this empire. That's all I have to say. So aside from that, I'm on YouTube. I actually have a vlog that'll be dropping probably after Artcasters Day on this channel that will be called Fighting Dragons. And it's going to talk about sort of the classic hero journey story arc and why that's compelling, why we root for the hero, and why we as artists should be that hero in our own little fight with our own little dragons and stuff. So check that out. And then if you're on this channel, hit subscribe right now. Stop what you're doing and hit like. And that goes for if this is on Corey's channel, Scott's channel, whatever's channel. If you're watching a stream, hit like. We're watching you. Hit like. And then aside from that, you can pick up my books, Jacob's Apartment and 2 Stories, my 2 graphic novels. 2 Stories is about faith and mental illness. It's a confessional graphic novel about destigmatizing hard conversations about mental illness. And then Jacob's Apartment is a doomed romance story in the vein of Ghost World and Eternal Sunshine for the Spotless Mind. So check out those 2 books. And yeah, I'm really eager to get into the topic. And also to everybody in the chats, may the 4th be with you. Okay, Corey.
Yeah, as always, you can see my stuff at coreykerr.com. And push the wrong button there. There we go. I have Josh's website still on the screen.
Oh, sorry. I'm clicking your thing, and Josh.
It's scrolling along the bottom, which is cool.
I have successfully taken the stream. No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, so you can see my stuff. You can see my stuff at coreykerr.com, and if you want to see those, you can see them at /store. If you want to check out my email newsletter, you can see it at /email. Or you just go to the main page and there's links to kind of click on those things as well. I have some stuff coming down the pipe. Scott has kind of inspired me to stop being so lazy with my YouTube stuff. And so I'm taking some time to edit this one. So it's taking me a few days rather than 45 minutes. So stay tuned for that and get on the email newsletter so you don't miss it.
Cool. One other thing before we get to our guests that I forgot to mention, I wanted to send a congratulations out to the guys over at Comics de la Muerte.
Yes.
Ronnie Gunter and Jason Alexander. They just celebrated their 100th episode. So I didn't get to watch the whole thing yet, but definitely they've got a live stream where they cover horror comics and stuff, and they've had my comic book feature. They've Gary's and a bunch of other people out there. So so congratulations, guys, on hitting 100 episodes. But now let's get to our, okay, how do I turn off your ticker thing here, Corey? There we go. All right. So Sean Sautter was on the show way back on episode 142. And I went back to see how long ago it was, and I just clicked on it to see kind of what the topic was and everything, just to make sure we weren't repeating ourselves. And I noticed this was back before Corey was a host, but for whatever reason on that particular episode, Josh was out and Corey was filling in. So it's kind of it's like I said, it's way back. So even when Corey was just a fill-in host, that's how far back this went before he was actually.
Those are the salad days when I got to be on the show.
Yeah, before you had to book your own guests and, and host on your channel and set stuff up, and you could just, just fly in here whenever you wanted to.
Yeah, cruise in. You got to be the cool uncle for a while. Now you're a parent. You're like, oh no.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that role again.
Okay, so Sean is an artist that I met at Phoenix Comic Con Fan Fusion, whatever, I forgot what it was called at the time. Well, probably back then it was Phoenix Comic Con. But he does some really cool, really kid friendly stuff, and he also teaches comics to kids, which is what we're going to kind of get into as the topic today. But you, you can kind of promote what you're going to do, but yeah, I know you're also going to be doing a signing, and you do a lot of stuff for Free Comic Book Day and everything. So Sean, introduce yourself and tell us what you got going on.
Hi, everybody. I'm back. Sean Sautter. I'm a freelance artist, soon to be upcoming debut author, and also instructor / speaker. You can find me at SeanSautter.com. I'm going to be over at Drawn to Comics in downtown Glendale for Free Comic Book Day. That's where you can find me as far as this coming weekend goes. Do you guys want to hear like the update? I mean,
yeah,
from the last,
that's what we do here at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a little bit winded, but there's been a lot of changes since I was last on. So let's go back to the art classes. I had started art classes. I think I just finished up like my first program. I kept going with it. We did another season or a few, and the kids that came for the first time came back. So we did like an intermittent, class. And this time they actually made a comic book, literally a comic book. It was fantastic. It was at Drawn to Comics. It was extremely fun, but a little nerve-wracking because Ken from Drawn to Comics, he was Facebook living me. And so it was just like, hey, Ken, like, isn't this kind of defeating the whole purpose of like getting people down here, man? But something good came out of it. Pretty much a local community college picked me up.
Oh, really? Awesome. I didn't know that.
A local community college saw what I was doing, and it turned out one of the employees kind of gave me a good word, and they brought me on. And
nice.
It was awesome. It was really cool because I not only got a job, but I was able to get somebody else a job as well. That it was their first job as like a helper. And so that was pretty cool. And the funny thing about all of it, so when I got brought on, the boss was like, all right, we're going to test you out. We're going to test you out. And so I'm like, okay. And after the first week, here's the funny part. She came up and asked if I can come back the following year. And I hadn't even been done with all the classes. I was kind of shocked by that because it was just like, oh, wow, they really like what I'm doing. Cool. Yeah. But what else happened? Oh, I decided I was going to start expanding the classes. So I started to talk about, started talking with local comic book stores to see if I could do like a comic book store tour of teaching art classes. So I started doing that, and things were on the up and up. But then 2020 hit.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yes, the pandemic hit, and it turned my life upside down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just say this. There was a lot of ups and downs. There was a lot of downs. I can't go into them, but there was life-altering, like 2 major life-altering things. But I got through it. I did fall off the horse, though, guys. I fell off the horse, and everything just stopped. But as of late, things have been on the up and up. I actually moved out of Phoenix, and I moved to a small town up near the White Mountains of Arizona.
Oh, really?
Oh. Yes. So now I'm about 4 hours away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's amazing. I love small town living. I think our population where I'm at is like 1,700. I love it. There's not a lot of cars. There's not a whole lot of people, and everything's just slowed down and calm. But the drawback is I'm getting back on the saddle, and I'm trying to do events.
Yeah.
And they're way farther out than they used to be.
Yeah.
Wow.
But it sounds like you're getting, I mean, because I know you just started a YouTube channel back up, and you did one live stream, and you are going to be doing so I guess it's a trek out to Drawn to Comics, but
it is. But I do have an update on Shawnee Poo and Fuji. So things have changed. It was a comic strip, right? A web comic before. And bless you.
Thank you. Sorry.
So with the web comic, it was just, the idea was just make a boy and a robot, funny situations, go. Well, the more and more I did these art classes, I started test marketing my ideas. It was amazing to be in front of kids and to say, hey, what about this idea with Shawnee Poo? And hey, what about that idea with Fuji? And so my characters, everything mutated, it changed. So I'm now in a new direction. From all the test marketing and hearing from the kids, I've now decided it's going to be an illustrated children's chapter book. Now, I know, comic books. I love comic books. It doesn't mean comic books won't be in the story. And it also doesn't mean we won't find comic book panels in the book. So it's still going to be all there and everything, but yeah. So
is it, are you looking at kind of like a Dave Pilkey type of thing where it's kind of got okay.
You got it.
Yeah.
So the plan is to do a black and white chapter book.
Right.
And well, can I tell you what the plan is? The plan is to build up my email list. The plan is to finish this book off. The plan is to release it on Kickstarter, get it funded, get it delivered, and then last but not least, Arizona school library tour.
Yep. It's a good plan.
And in fact, can I give you guys the pitch?
Yeah, let's hear it.
All right, here we go. So it's a story about a little boy named Shawnee Poo, still has the same name. He's got a bully problem, and he figures he's going to build a robot to stop this school bully. So he goes home, takes his dad's junk, But it's not really junk. It's his dad's iPad Pro, a toaster, a working retro game console. He puts it all together and he builds his best friend, Fuji the robot. So the question is, will Fuji stop the school bully? Or will Shawnee Poo face the wrath of the bully's Power Wedgie 3000?
Nice.
So, yeah. So as you guys can probably tell from Sean's enthusiasm, and I mean his stuff is definitely geared towards kids and stuff, and he's just got a way of kind of getting kids interested in the stuff that he does and everything. And that's kind of why I wanted to have him on, because with Free Comic Book Day coming up, I mean, let's face it, the reason for Free Comic Book Day is to bring in new customers, introduce new people to comics. And I mean, and if you've seen the lineup of books that come out in Free Comic Book Day, a lot of those are geared towards kids, because we don't want this medium and everything to die off with us old guys. We want to bring kids in and get kids introduced into it. So that's why, I mean, just Sean is a perfect fit for getting kids into the comic stores and with the kind of work that he's doing and stuff like that. So that's kind of why I wanted to kind of cover this topic about the importance of reaching out to kids, introducing, if you've got kids of your own, try to get them into comics or whatever, because we need some young blood in the comics, and I'm not talking Rob Liefeld.
We need some young blood in the comics.
Yeah, we need to bring back while we're at it. Bring back young blood. We'll do.
I want more pockets in my comics
and small feet.
Yeah. I don't want to get into the explanation of this, but Gary was saying what kind of direction, and I believe it was a new one. Yes, I think that was noticed, and we all stifled. Yes. So
you brought it up. Now you've got to.
I guess I do have to,
because he doesn't.
Sean, we have a joke. I've ruined everyone's mind on this stream because someone told me this joke ruined my mind, and ever since then, like if I'm in a corporate meeting or if I'm meeting a client, and they're like, we want to go in a new direction, I'm like, I can't not hear what they told me to hear. So the words sound like it's something else.
Okay.
So yeah, I don't know if I want to get it, because again, you're doing all ages stuff, so there might be kids watching, so let's not get heavy into it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
just like think about it in your head, new direction, and kind of break it up, and like you'll get what he's getting at. But
anyhow, no worries.
All right. So that's it's kind of an inside joke, kind of running gag here we do on the show. So anytime somebody says that, and we've all used that. I don't know another way to describe that, because I still use that term, even though now you've kind of ruined it for me. But
I know I ruined it for everybody. It's horrible. I'm the Grinch who stole language.
Yes. So Sean, so you kind of, because of the pandemic and everything, you kind of had to take a hiatus. Now when you were teaching the college class, I assume it was college age students, or was it?
No.
Oh, it was kids. Okay.
It was
cool.
during the summertime. It was a summertime program.
Cool. Oh, how awesome.
For kids. It was great. And I did, I had the class for 2 weeks long. So Monday through, I think it was Thursday, or it might have been through Friday. I don't know. But it was a way to get the kids to get out of the house and have something to do, because it's summertime.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a really good use of the resources at the junior college too. And I love the idea of like more community outreach type stuff happening at a junior college for kids. That's great. That's awesome.
And it was really cool, because at first, like, I'm kind of asking for things, because this is a college. I'm like, I need pencils, I need paper. Hey, would you guys help me with the Shawnee Poo bags? What's a Shawnee Poo bag? I don't know about that. And then later on, as I got done with that summer, they were doing anything and everything for me. Anything that I needed or asked for. Oh my jollies. It was amazing. Just, I don't know what they did and how they did it. And I don't know. It was really cool.
Yeah. So for the people who didn't grow up here in Arizona, between the years of like probably 19, maybe 40 something, 50 something, and 1985. Between those ages, they probably don't know who Wallace and Ladmo is and what a Ladmo bag was, which was your inspiration for your Shawnee Poo bag. But there used to be this kids program. It was at one point it was the longest running kids program anywhere. And it was these guys that my dad actually used to watch, these two guys, and they would come on. And I mean, they had different variations of something like this in different markets and things. But the one in Arizona, two guys, and they would, they'd bring people in the studio audience, and they'd show cartoons and stuff like that. And and then they had a sidekick. It was two guys and the third guy, who's actually he's still alive, and he's
Pat
like
McMahon.
a radio. Yeah, Pat McMahon, but he would play all these other characters. So there was this one character, Gerald, who was this spoiled, rotten kid. He played this guy called Captain Super, which was this just lame superhero guy that didn't want to help anyone. And Marshall Good, who was this cowboy, and Boffo the Clown. All these different characters this one guy played. He played all these different. But it was an amazing show. And if you grew up in Arizona from, like I said, anything between the 50s and the mid 80s, then you would, or maybe it might have went to. Did it go? I don't know if it went all the way to 90.
1989 is when they went on.
1989, yeah.
And it was like SNL for kids.
Yeah, it was great.
That's what it was.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Sean. No, you.
I was just gonna say, the real question is, will the Shawnee Poo bag find its way in my story? That's the question.
That is a good question.
And Gary grew up here, so I think Gary grew up here. I'm sure he knows.
I don't know. Gary was getting in some pretty intense tiffs at the arcade back in the day, so I don't know. I feel like Gary was just a thug in the arcades back then.
Yeah. So I'm sure Gary knows white malls. Yeah. But anyway, they would bring in, my brother actually won a Ladmo bag because they bring people, and my brother came on as they bring his Cub Scout group in. So he came in with the Cub Scouts.
You have to describe the Ladmo bag because I have no idea what.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Okay.
Yeah. So then they had a special, a secret seat number, and they called out and they go, okay, three rows up, one or three rows across or whatever, and then they go and that person would get the Ladmo bag. Oh my God. Gary got one twice. That's what? He's probably, I don't know too many people who would have got one twice. I think I remember him saying that before, but
Josh, it's pretty much a goodie bag.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's a goodie bag this filled with all kinds of junk candy and coupons and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. They have sponsors. And when my dad was a kid, it was actually a grocery bag size. And then by the time it got to us, it was more like a sandwich bag, like a lunch bag size.
Yeah.
but they get different sponsors and they throw stuff in there and get coupons and all.
That's awesome.
But it was sought after by everybody.
It was like the Holy Grail.
Yeah, there's only one kid in the audience got one.
Yeah. For Gary to get twice, two of them.
Well, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. That's pretty amazing.
That's unheard of.
You have a lot of jealous kids now, Gary.
Yeah.
And you should add that to your resume and say Ladmo winning artist.
That's pretty awesome.
That is pretty good.
So yeah, and the other thing I should admit, because my dad was a huge fan of Wallace and Ladmo and everything, Sean did a piece of fan art of Wallace and Ladmo, and I bought it from him at the convention, and my dad's got it hanging up in his house. So my dad actually has some of your artwork hanging up in his house. Yeah.
Do you want to hear the story behind that one?
Yeah.
Hear it.
So our local zoo, the Phoenix Zoo, decided that they were going to commemorate a statue of Wallace and Ladmo.
Yeah.
And they were working on it for how long, and they decided that they were going to do the unveiling, and I saw what it looked like, and so I did a cartoon caricature of what they had done. And I posted it, and it turns out the Wallace and Ladmo Foundation saw it, and they messaged me, direct messaged me, hey, wow, we really love this. And then they asked me if I was going to be heading out to to the dedication of the statue. And I said, well, sure. And the individual said their name and said, hey, stop on by. My name is blank. So I went with a couple of friends. I brought a few prints because I didn't know what to expect. I'm not trying to sell it. I just figured, hey, if I run into some family members of the actors, hey, maybe I can give it to them. So I went there, came across the guy. He said, oh my gosh, oh, you're the artist. Stay right there. Stay right there. And he took off. And a little bit later, he brings back by this really, really tall, skinny, older individual. And the guy goes and shakes my hand. He said, I just got to shake your hand. That art of the boys, spot on. And it turned out he was the artist of the statue.
Oh, really?
So, wow. Yeah. So I got to meet him. I got to meet some of the foundation members. There was a small little conversation of me possibly doing a coloring book, but it didn't go nowhere.
Oh, that's too bad. Yeah.
Huh.
But I walked out. They gave me like a commemorative coin.
Nice.
I was like, cool, rock on. But
awesome.
Yeah, it was really awesome to meet the family members and just say, hey, you know, I loved your dad's work, and here you go. This is my, you know, my little love letter to you, to your family.
That's awesome. But yeah, I mean, and again, that to get to, so how much of that, I mean, I'm kind of curious because I would assume that that you probably have some interest in maybe doing that kind of stuff again, as far as the teaching. Well,
so
are you just so yeah, sorry, I'm going to kind of segue around here a little bit, but so are you still, because are you just doing a signing at a Free Comic Book Day, or are you actually doing like a mini kids course, or what are you doing?
Just showing up. I don't know if I've got enough time to just print something off so I can have something free to give off.
Yeah.
Don't know. We'll see what happens. But yes, as far as other events, I went to the Verde Valley Comic Expo. They had me out and I did art classes there, did an art panel. Really, really fun, really, really amazing. Let's see, anywhere else? I haven't got anything else set up, but I've been making my rounds as far as the events go, and any chance that I can have to get on stage, oh boy, I'm jumping all over it.
Yeah.
No, seriously.
Well, yeah, no, I know. I mean,
I know exactly what I want.
Enthusiasm. So yeah.
No, and it's like this. If I want Shawnee Poo and Fuji to be successful, the only way that that's going to happen is by getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. Because I mean, I talked to you guys on the last episode, the previous episode, or not previous, back.
Right.
Anyways, I did not like getting in front of people.
Yeah.
I am a closet artist. I do my work in there. I don't like anyone looking at me. It's this is me and my art, and anybody looking at me, I'm uncomfortable. I'm not in my zone. This is just me and the page and the pencil. And I was asked many, many years of, can you do an art class for kids? Can you do a panel on how to do this? And each and every time it was, nope, I'm not going to do it. And it wasn't, I was doing the cons and I was doing the fan art and stuff, but it was the independent creators like Scott and many others that I would see at Phoenix Comic-Con, and I would just be like, that's what I want. It's fine doing a Spider-Man, but what Scott's got, that's his own.
Yeah.
Nobody can tell him what to do, how to do it. That's his own. And I was going through a little bit of a funk, but haven't we all had the goal of tabling and being like, man, tables cost a little bit of a chunk of a change. It'd be nice to get a free table here, man.
Yeah.
And so that became a goal. I want to get a free table. So it turned out there was Ace Comic-Con in Glendale, Arizona. It was the first year. And I'm like, I'm not paying for a table. No. But then they started announcing Stanley is going to be there. Chris Evans is going to be there. And many, many more actors and whatnot. And one of my friends reached out to me, said, hey, you're going to be doing this event? I said, nah, man, I just can't. He said, well, wait a minute. What about Kids Comic-Con? Like, what is Kids Comic-Con? And I told you guys the previous episode that it was a guy from New York, and he put together this program, Kids Comic-Con, family friendly. And Alex Simmons is his name. Great man. And he decided to piggyback off of the bigger events and said, hey, just give me a little spot and we will create this family friendly fun zone. And that's what he did. But the issue was flying the talent all the way to Phoenix is going to, cost some money. So he was looking for local talent.
Yeah.
So that's why my friend was reaching out. So we submitted our stuff. Alex looked at us, vetted us, went through all of our stuff, said, all right, we'll have you guys on. You get a free table. You get 3 days. Whatever you make is all yours. But, big but, each day you got 45 minutes to do a kids class presentation.
Yeah.
So here goes my goal, but it's crossing the streams with the fears.
Was that the first time you've done a course like that? Did that lead to everything else, or have you done anything like that? Or like, I don't know the time. I'm not sure the timeline between like doing that and also doing like the college courses, and because I know you were just getting into doing kids courses and classes and stuff like that. I think probably when we talked to you last.
What I had done previous to this would be just like 1 or 2 kids. It wasn't
okay. Oh, I see what you're talking about.
It was nothing like that. So again, here's my dream. I want a free table, but oh my goodness, I don't want to get up because I am a perfectionist. If I'm going to get on stage, everything has to be perfect. What I say, how I act, all the funny parts have to be planned out. And ultimately that stopped me, but I accepted, went to the event, and oh my goodness, my body started going through some rocking and rolling. I wasn't feeling good. And I won't lie, there was a point where I was in the Comic-Con bathroom. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. And I had to come out and have a pep talk with not only my wife, but Alex Simmons. And what went from, I have to be perfect, turned into, you know what? Let's just have a good old time. Let's just make everyone try to smile. And hey, let's try to make the kids feel like $1 million.
Yeah. And your definition of perfect in your mind compared to what the kids care about or even expect. You just go out there and anything you do as an artist to a kid, it's going to be magic, and even a lot of adults, a lot of people just think of it as magic. And if you can go out there and break that down and show how you got to this point or whatever, it's just going to open up eyes. And it's in your head that you're trying to make it a little harder than it is, because it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look a certain way. You just get out there and the kids are going to be impressed, because there's not a lot of people out there doing that kind of stuff, or, and on a level for kids.
Can I also just share one thing that I think relates to this? I was shocked when I first started teaching college courses in art, back when I was teaching at an art college. My first few weeks there, what you're describing was my experience, because I had all these preconceptions of what a college professor goes through. And it's, of course, behind the scenes, way more chaotic and unplanned than you expect. But putting together a syllabus is like really weird, and you're asking for advice from people who've done it, and they're like, yeah, I know it's kind of weird when you start, and you're like, wait, it's weird, it's not all like mapped out and perfect. And then your first few days of class, like you walk, like I remember, you know, I think the first class I taught was like a Photoshop class, and walking into it with the feeling of like, I'm a fake, like what am I going to teach these kids? Until like I started going through, and that by kids, you know, these are like adults, but they're like young adults, you know, who need to learn Photoshop or whatever. And then like a couple of them asked me like, what's a pixel? And I'm like, oh, okay, we can do this. You know what I mean? Like, and starting to realize like how to share knowledge that you've acquired that you don't realize is valuable, because you've done it for so long. Like, you know, panel layouts, grids, like all the basic stuff you're going to learn as an artist, and it just becomes like rote. That's all stuff you can share and get people excited about. And half the trick to teaching is like the big dark secret of teaching is like all teachers don't entirely know, like they're not perfect. They don't start perfect. They don't kind of stay the same. Like you adapt as you do it. And like, so to me, you're just describing like a first teaching experience. Cause it's like, it is one of those things where you have this kind of vision of like what a teacher looks like. And you're like, oh, I gotta be perfect and all of that. But a lot of it is like very much more like in the moment, very flowy, and like you develop it as you go, and kind of perfect it. But weirdly in the process, like people get educated and you learn stuff. So that was, anyhow, I just wanted to share that because it's like what you're describing to me. I mean, I'm sure Corey can chime in too, but because Corey teaches, but it's like, I felt like I was alone in that. And then I talked to other professors there and they're like, oh yeah, my first like week at college, I just felt like the biggest fraud. I was like, oh, well, that's weird. And these are people with like doctorate degrees and stuff. And they're like, yeah, I just felt like, how am I here? How am I qualified? I'm like, I don't know. So you're not alone on that. But that's cool that you were able to overcome that fear, because that's so important for us to do anything in life, right?
For a second there, I wasn't about to. I was about to run out and just go back to the house and call my wife. Oh, Alex, I can't get on there. and the funny thing was this: the person that had a class before me, there was only like 1 or 2 kids, and so I was like, okay, it'll be all right, just 2 kids. And then when I went out, the whole place was packed. I'm like, oh, come on. But I went up, I just blocked everything out, did the shapes, because we always begin with the 5 basic shapes.
Yeah.
And we end up doing a robot together. We drew
Nice.
a robot, and I drew my robot like it was holding itself, like it really needed to use the restroom. And after we got done, kids, we gotta sign our art. And then, oh, what's the name of the robot? And so I think it came up with a Peabody bot or something like that.
Nice.
But it was so bizarre because at the time I was a office manager for a local shutter company. And so this is my part-time stuff. So I'm getting up, doing my thing, and it was amazing. Kids were laughing. The moms and dads were sitting down and doing it too.
Yeah.
And once I got done, I was like quickly trying to grab my stuff and get exit, make an exit. And I had 3 parents walk up. Hey, we just saw you. Where's your art class? Where are you located? We want to take your classes.
Yeah.
And that's when I was like, oh no, I'm an office manager. And the Alex Simmons, he goes and runs over and like, what are you doing, boy? I'm like, I'm just telling the truth. He's like, no, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm telling them the truth. He's like, no, they see something in you, boy. They see something in you and they want it. And only you can give it to them. Now, next time this happens, you do your elevator pitch. And I said, what's that? He said, next time someone comes up, says that they want to take your art classes, you say, I don't have art classes right now, but give me your email, telephone number, cell phone, whatever. And as soon as I have art classes, I'll let you know.
That's awesome.
And I said, okay. And he said, do you know what you do after that? I don't know. You make it happen.
Yep.
Make the classes happen. And so
that's amazing advice.
So afterwards, what did I do? I walked all the way down to Drawn to Comics in downtown Glendale, and I said, guys, you guys have been asking me for over 5 years to do art classes. Here I am.
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
we did it. We did it. It was so fun to be. I think I was breaking it down in our previous interview. You start off with the first class was just drawing heads and, you know, creating our character.
Mm-hmm.
And I would try to sprinkle in just good little messages, like within the first class, it's drawing our character. So after we're all done, it's like, all right, kids, hold up your art. Hold up your art so everyone can see. You guys notice something? I noticed something. All of our characters look different. Whoa! And you know what? You know what else is kind of different? We're all different too, and that's pretty cool. Because could you imagine like all of us being Shawnee Poos? Oh, how boring would that be? But I'm just trying to bring in the whole acceptance.
Yeah,
and it's okay to be different. But it was. I want to go back. I really want to go back, especially there's been some fun classes. There's been some fun, amazing classes. Kids are fun, especially the whole Shawnee Poo thing. I think I can have some sort of understanding what Walt Disney, Stan Lee felt like when a kid came up and said, I drew your character. Fan art of Shawnee Poo.
Yeah.
Seriously, like I don't know how to describe the feeling, but man, a kid was so inspired by what I've said. There's no book out. There's no book. There's just me communicating to them and just showing them an image. And for them to take that info, create a whole nother style, and then be like, here we go. It's just so awesome. Just so
that's
cool.
rad.
That is awesome. Yeah, I got a question from Jim Lujan here. Has he ever taught a class at Brightside Studios in Phoenix or heard of them?
No,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I've heard of Brightside Studios.
No, but I'm telling you, as soon as my book is done, Arizona school and library tour.
Mm-hmm.
The goal is to do like a keynote presentation with how did I come up with the book? Oh, bullying. All right, how can we stop school bullying? How can we prevent this? And then, well, how did I create the book? Oh, let's go through some speed paints and like some rough sketches and all that. I mean, the main goal with the tour, make a fool out of myself. Get kids to laugh, and hopefully get them feeling empowered that they can create something themselves, right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Well, the thing that I was thinking, since since you're so you're kind of away from the Phoenix metropolitan area, and it's kind of a drive for you, but you still have that passion for teaching comics for kids. Have you ever thought about building like some sort of a online course or anything? I did a kids course for a website called DIY.org. And I just did a whole course for kids on their platform and everything. And it was really cool. We created a mini comic and everything like that, but there's gotta be, that's gotta be something that you could take. And especially if you've already kind of structured something or we're teaching it, just do that in front of a screen or whatever. And you might even, that's the weird thing, so I have a question. When the pandemic came around and that thing went away, was there ever any talk about seeing if they do that over Zoom with kids? Because they needed, kids are at home. They need some other fun stuff to do in addition to their academics and stuff. So
I let the fear get in the way.
Oh,
Zoom did happen, and this was my experience with Zoom.
Yeah.
So before the college was going to start up, schools were already experiencing it.
Yeah.
So they had started to go towards a Zoom, and I watched what my first grader was going through, and it was pretty chaotic to see kids running around instead of just sitting in the screen. But you got all these different images going around, and it was so distracting for me. I couldn't I couldn't imagine how it was for my daughter. So what happened was I focused on the negative instead of being like, oh yeah, let's try this out.
Yeah.
And the whole perfection thing, right, Josh?
Yeah.
The whole perfection. This isn't going to work. How am I supposed to control a class when I'm not even in front of them? And I let it slip. So.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was obviously a tough time, and different people, it affected different people different ways, and so I don't blame you for that at all.
And I relate to that too, because I remember my son taking classes, digitally during that time, and like the poor teacher having to be like, Susan, mute if you're going to blah blah blah, and like. Yeah, it just being like, Susan, I'm talking to you. You need to respond, Susan. And like the whole class is like, Susan. And I'm like, how does a teacher deal with this? Because like you can't, like, what are you going to do if they don't? Like, what you're going to cut their connection? Like, I don't know. It's kind of crazy. That's all. So I understand the intimidation there because, geez, that's a rough one. Yeah.
But I would like to do art class or classes online.
You should.
That is the desire, but I'm noticing I can only juggle so many balls.
Yeah.
And then before they start dropping.
Yeah.
So gotta get the book done.
Yeah.
Gotta get the book done. In fact, did I even tell you guys where I'm at with the book?
No.
Tell us. I'm curious.
No. Okay, so went through the whole thing with first draft, and how question for you guys, how was it for you guys with your first book or comic or whatever, writing it for the very first time? How was your guys' experience?
The first serious attempt?
Yes.
Yeah, Scott, you want to start?
Yeah, I mean, if I'm trying to go, like with Young and the Dead, it was just, I mean, obviously there were a lot of different drafts. It was just like, for me, I remember the experience was like I started wanting to do something small because it was a project that was going to be like an 8-page story, and I just remember getting so into it that it just kind of got bigger, and then it's like, oh, now it's a full-page comic. And because I purposely wanted to start with just a very simple idea that I could just do in 8 pages, like, oh, kids fighting zombies. The concept's right there. You don't have to go too deep. You could just have some fun with that in 8 pages. But the more I started getting into it, the more ideas started coming. I'm like, oh, and then I started getting these characters down, and I started going back to my childhood, and if I was in the zombie apocalypse when I was that age, and then my friends are around me, and then I started, I got to have a character like this other friend of mine because he would have done this, and this person would do this and all this stuff. And so it just kind of, for me, with that book, it started small, and then it just kind of, the ideas just kind of kept coming in. So yeah, that's my experience anyway.
Yeah, mine was like my first comic was a really short one, and I, like most people, like I kind of hesitated. Well, like a lot of people, I hesitated to start comics till I'd like gone to art school, and I had that perfectionism problem too, where I'd start like 2 pages, abandon, 2 pages, abandon. Finally got to the point of having that realization of like, no one's gonna come here and be like, here, kid, welcome to comics. We're gonna do, welcome. Like, here's a job. Like, it's like, you just kind of have to make it. And so I determined to make something, but I just did a video on this too, called finishing, stop stopping and finish finishing, because but I experienced all the pains of actually finishing a project, because you have this idea in your head, and no matter how good what you make is, it's never perfect. And so as long as it's in your head, it can be this fantasy of perfection. And when it comes to like realizing it on a script or whatever, it's like you have to kind of deal with where you are actually at as a writer and start like making actual improvements and revisions. And it's more work, and it's less like perfect than what you'd expect. So navigating that. And then I remember that project and my first graphic novel were the most insecurity I've ever felt about myself, like the entire way through. Like I would just be second guessing the entire process. The more I've done, the more now I can like, you know, it's not like those go away, but you have like a better way to quell those doubts because you've done the process enough times. But yeah, I don't know. For me, it was pretty hellish, the whole process of doing it, to be honest. Although it was enjoyable, and getting a product at the end was like the addiction that I think keeps us going. But yeah, that was my experience. It was hell. To be honest, it just wasn't fun during the process. And the whole time I was doubting myself, like, this is supposed to be fun, right? Like everybody's having fun doing this. I'm not. This is horrible. And yeah, that was my experience in the first few. Yeah. What about you?
So pretty much what you guys went through is what I went through going through the first draft, and oh my gosh, horrible. I mean, yeah. Horrible. Like, oh my gosh, I couldn't even let my wife read it. It was that bad, but I kept on trying to edit it. Then I got to a point where this is the best that I can do on my own. I need to get a critique partner. So I got a critique partner. Actually, I got two. One of them was a retired school teacher. So had two critique partners, and it was just this back and forth, you know, send it to them, get it back, do some more editing, send it back. And then it got to a point where we got it to the best that we can all get it. And then came 6 moms who beta read for it. And
that's smart too.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got 6 moms to beta read. And this is what I found out. My story's got action. It's got adventure. It's got humor. And most importantly, it's got heart. I had one mom that cried at the end.
Nice.
In a good way. In a really good way.
That's good.
And so after the beta reading, took all the data, and it was really cool how I went about it. I mimicked what another author tuber had done, and I used Google Docs. Yep. So I just had the script, sent it out, and then they were able to mark it all up, make notations. But then I did what was it? I think this would be what is the Google Docs where you can do forms, Google Forms. Mm-hmm. I put together Google Forms. So after they read the first 5 chapters, here's a Google form. Please take the quiz.
Oh, smart.
And then after the next 5 chapters, here goes some more questions. How are we doing? And then, so on and so on. And then there was a final questionnaire. And the response, I'm telling you guys, I've got my fingers on something. Something's magical. I don't know if it's gold, silver, or bronze. It's something. I know I've got my fingers on something. But the response from the mothers were amazing.
Yeah.
And where I'm at right now, I hired a professional editor.
Smart.
Yeah.
Because it's like this. I know what the end product. I know what I know what I want it to look like.
Yeah.
And I want it to be as professional as I can get it as possible. And if I can get it to where you put the book, if the book was on a Barnes and Noble's shelf, I want it to be where somebody walks by and doesn't even notice that it's independently published.
Yeah.
That's what I want.
Yeah.
So
that's a good goal.
We'll see what happens, but I do have news. I do have news. I got my manuscript back from the pro editor. If you guys listening want to know more about it, you got to sign up for my newsletter at SeanSautter.com or go to the YouTube channel Shawnee PooTube and sign up.
I love it.
Yeah, definitely. We'll have to put links to that, or I assume you're going to have a link on your website. Do you have links on your website to your YouTube?
Yes.
Because we do have the link in the description and everything to Sean's website. So yeah, definitely. Because and you just started up doing live streams and everything. So yes. I'm interested to see the process and everything, see that happens and everything. So
it's gonna be, well, is it gonna be perfect? No, but it's gonna be entertaining. I know that.
That's awesome. I think I just want to highlight how cool that is, the idea of seeking out editors. That was a game changer for me too. Even before having a book deal or anything, I just literally, I have 2 English majors in my family that are super critical. So I'm they're a resource, because it's they spot flow errors in the story, where I'm missing plot holes and stuff like that, or tense changes if I accidentally, if I'm in present tense and I go back to past, or just simple spelling errors, grammatical stuff, or just phrases that if I shift a word over, it's less awkward. And then I have a couple trusted friends, and then definitely editor friends that I send stuff to, because the like I was explaining about that painful process of that first draft or that first comic. One thing it will make you realize is you really do need other eyes just to be able to see straight as a writer, much like an artist. Critique is super invaluable. It makes your work so much better. So I think that's just really smart to do that. And I think you will end up with a really solid product. I'm always shocked at people who hesitate to have edits or editorial, because it's no, you want an editor. Believe me, I've worked with publishers that have 3 editors, and each one doesn't catch everything. And so it's usually that last one where it's this thing was about to hit the press and there's a spelling error, somehow that just got through me and 2 other people. So having those extra pair of eyes will save you, because then you don't have to at a con tell somebody when they come they're I love your book, but did you notice on page whatever you misspelled this word? And you're well, it's in print forever, thanks. That's why you want an editor. So I think that's brilliant, and especially for kids books, because a lot of people make the false assumption, and maybe you guys can get into this, because Scott, you write all ages stuff too. A lot of people will make the false assumption, especially younger artists or younger writers, that kids stuff is easier. And my wife's a kids book illustrator, so it's we see all sorts of scripts that are from brilliant to awful, that she'll have to work with. And it's it is so hard to be that clear and coherent. It's what Mo Willems does. It's a really good example. It's so simple, but what he's doing is intensely hard, because it's everything's in the pacing, the tempo, the simplicity, boiling something complex down. It's a hard thing to do, and for that in particular, editorial is just gonna just sharpen it up and make it more palatable. I think that's just I don't know, man, it just sounds really exciting. I'm excited for you.
I thought really cool. I thought the writing was going to be simple. No,
it never is.
And like Josh said, when you get so close to the story, it's going snowblind. You go snowblind. You're so close to it, you don't notice certain things. And it, in fact, happened with me where I know this happens at the end and I wrote it, but as you go through and have critique partners read it, then you find out, oh, I never introduced anything about that at all, but it's in your head. You know, you did it.
The last book I released, that one of my favorite editors I've worked with, the ending, this is a book I had finished years prior. It had been through a couple editors, and somehow I just missed this. It always felt a little off. Like there was something about the book. I was like, I feel good about this, but there's something missing. And thank God for that editor noticing that there was a plot thread that I introduced at the beginning that I just never tied. And I thought I had tied all the threads. Like you said, I was so close to it, I just forgot. And she brought it up and we came up with this thing that I felt it just took it to a different level. And again, it's like, I mean, it was just from the right question. And that's what those like reading critique partners, even if there's confusion, right? Like if you're doing a critique partner and they're like, hey, what did you mean on this like thing? And they're not sure what the action is. It's like, okay, I got to revise that. Cause if two people are confused reading this, that's not them, that's me, you know? Yeah.
That's what I went through. Pretty much what I would do is I went in, what I should have done was just had 3 beta reader moms just read. I could have just done that because you go with, if 2 people say it, you know, if more than 2 people say it, then something's up.
Yep.
Either it's working or it's not working, and you gotta focus. You gotta focus there.
That's brilliant.
But I mean, it dramatically changed the story. It was not the same from what I started. It grew. It grew and grew and grew like a plant, and more leaves started to sprout that weren't there in the beginning. They like weren't Scott's, there in the root stage. But I'm on cloud 9 with what the beta reader moms had said. I'm even higher up in the clouds with what I got back from the pro editor. I really want to go into it, but I can't wait. I can't wait, guys. Oh my jollies, I can't wait. Oh.
So have you started like any of the, are the illustrations part of it right now, or is it just a manuscript?
So it's just the manuscript. A lot of people are like, just go ahead and draw it. Just go ahead and draw it. No, I'm waiting till the manuscript is 99% done. I know for sure, because I don't want to begin to start doing roughs just to find out that after getting it back from the pro editor, this has got to get thrown out, or, you know,
smart. Yeah.
So, and I just, my whole mindset with it is, what are the traditional big publishers doing? How do they approach it? Do they just willy-nilly up? All right, you're not done with the manuscript, just go ahead and draw it. Nah. There's got to be some form and organization, and that's what I'm trying to do. It might not work for everybody, but
Sean, is this your first one for this kind of thing? Would this be like your first like kids book? I mean, it sounds like you did web comics and stuff, but
yes, I've done comics in the past, but as far as this is a children's book and it being me, author, you know, artist, this is going to be the first one.
Okay, that's really cool, because a lot of us have to learn that exactly what you're describing, like the hard way. I've met so many artists, including myself, who like we start and we're like art minded, so we're like, I'll like make it a page at a time, and I have the rough idea of where it's going, so we'll just kind of improv it, and then you end up like in a writer's nightmare, you know, taking a year longer to make something that could have been done quicker if you had just resolved all those issues at the beginning by having a full script. So like it can all be paced out and measured out. So congrats to you on that, because it's like that like your method is going to save you a lot of work. I think at least I've experienced that, like once taking that approach, it saves a lot of headache to make a good story. You can make sure your story is good at first, and then all your job is, once you get to the art stage, is let's just honor the story, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas you're not having to save the story.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So watching these other author YouTubers, pretty much I've discovered I'm a plotter, not a pantser. And do you guys, what are you guys? Are you guys more into pantsing or plotting?
Scott?
Well, I don't know what
so
I
I'd
have to
explain
what pantsing is.
So pantsing is where you just willy-nilly, I'm just gonna go for it. I don't have any direction. I'm just gonna feel it out.
Oh no, I'm definitely a plotter. Yeah, my script, even my comic scripts are written out like, even though it's just for me, I write it like if I was going to show it to somebody else. So it's very much it's all broken down. All the scenes are broken down. Every bit of dialogue. It's not like Marvel method by any means or anything like that. So yeah.
What about you, Corey?
Depends on the project, but the more complex the project, I think naturally I'm kind of a pantser, but I usually fall into traps and holes and things. And so if it's a more complex project, I kind of force myself to sit down and eat my vegetables and plan everything out.
Yeah.
But I don't do that naturally. That's something I have to make myself do. So
have you guys got so far deep into your story that you're starting to talk to your characters?
Yeah, totally. Have you, Scott?
I'm being serious too.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. I mean, I like to get in their heads. I like to think what they're thinking and everything. So I guess you could say that. And again, like with Young and the Dead, they're loosely based on people I knew, and so it's a little easier for me to kind of get in their heads because I remember them, or it seems like I know them so well, or a combination of a few different. So one character might be a combination of a couple different people or whatever. So yeah.
I had an odd experience that I've talked about before, and some people have found it strange. A lot of writers I was actually surprised how common this is with writers, where Jacob's Apartment in particular was a weird book because I had a different ending initially plotted out. And as I developed the characters, I realized more and more that ending just can't happen with these characters. And it was like, I thought I was going to write like a love story kind of thing, and it ended up being kind of a tragedy. And it was this weird thing of like, that's just where it has to go because that's where the characters are going to go. And it was a bizarre experience of like feeling heartbreak for these characters that I had invented because I had somehow crafted them into just destruction. And I was like, it was a bizarre experience where it almost felt like the story kind of took itself. And I had to restructure it and stuff as a kind of tragedy, which was really surprising to me. So that's the characters definitely took over there. That's the only time that's happened for me, but it was an interesting one because it's surprising when that happens. Sean, have they talked to you?
Oh gosh, way too much. And I really drove my wife and kids crazy. Like, who are you talking to? Oh my gosh. What the heck is he doing?
That's like with me with sound effects, because I mean I will always break out into like weird nonsensical words because I'm just so used to drawing sound effects. So just in my daily life, if I'm cleaning or whatever, I'll make like what would that what kind of sound would that make? So I'll just say like weird, like I'll just be like walking up the stairs and in my head I'm like making up weird sounds and stuff, and
plunk,
my girlfriend would be like, what did you say? Nothing, don't worry about it.
Dropping something, just like being plink. It's like, what's plink? What are you? That's amazing. I always feel like artists were all a little crazy. Like from an outside observer, if they didn't know we were working on a book, they would just think we're, maybe have multiple personalities or something.
Yeah, could be. Yes. Yeah.
That's amazing though. So, have that experience of kind of getting that close to your characters, what has that done for your story and your writing? That kind of connection with, working with their personalities and stuff.
It's definitely helped flesh it out. And something that I heard from the beta readers, the moms, they liked the dialogue. Yeah. Even though, well, I mean, Fuji doesn't really talk like us. He's kind of got like some glitches and issues. So he kind of goes, and yeah, that's how he communicates. So, but I lost the question, guys. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
No, it's cool. You're talking about the beta moms being impressed by the dialogue.
Oh yeah, they were actually
because
impressed.
The characters are really believable.
And it's funny because like that's what I was trying to get at. Fuji doesn't talk, so that's where I'm kind of like that. I did okay with the dialogue, really. But how is pretty funny. This is how I approached it. I would literally write out what Fuji would say, and then I would have to incorporate it into what Shawnee Poo says back to him the next sentence.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my way of kind of, okay, well, the robot doesn't really talk, and how is the reader going to understand? So I've got to have
kind of like R2D2 and like Luke Skywalker. Yeah,
exactly. And so pretty much the person's just, well, what do you mean? But you know, saying exactly what they said. And so it's really cool.
Or like Lassie, what Timmy fell in a well?
Flipper, you said what? Scott, I'm curious about, like, this just makes me curious. This is a great Sean, you're bringing up a really cool thing. And now it makes me curious just about everybody. Like Scott, like when you craft dialogue, are there any weird quirks that you have to go through to try to make the dialogue kind of convincing or flow, like when you're writing?
Oh, just I mean, I know with dialogue, it's constantly changing up until almost the last. Like, does this sound better? Would this person say this, or does this sound better? Or you know, does this is actually something somebody would say, or is it like and then I have to go back to, did this character already say this exact same thing in one of the previous issues? And then I have to go back and like all that kind of stuff. Like, so yeah, I mean, dialogue is one of the things I kind of stress over.
Dialogue's interesting for me because of dialogue, and I write a lot of work that's very quiet work. So it's not like I'm writing a lot of action comics, at least so far. And so a lot of it's very like dialogue heavy, and it needs to be convincing because I'm writing like slice of life stuff. So if you have slice of life with like really unrealistic dialogue, you just have failed instantly. So I have this quirk that my first test reader is my wife. And unfortunately she has to hear it out loud. I have to read it to her, especially dialogue, because when I'm writing, even for me to catch if it's natural, I have to read it. I have to read dialogue out loud, because once you read it out loud, that's where you find like stuff that looks eloquent on the page. It's like, oh, no one would say that, you know, because you start realizing like, oh, I put these words in an order nobody would use because it doesn't flow when you come out. You stumble on the words. So it's kind of like writing lyrics to a song or something where it has to have a flow and feel natural when you're reading it. And if it doesn't, at least for me, that's usually a really big indicator. Like, I need to rework this dialogue. So I will drive my wife nuts, being half the time doing it for her feedback and half the time just doing it to hear it spoken out loud, and then stop myself halfway and be, no, let me change that, edit it. And my wife will just be like insanely patient with it, which is insane. So that's my little weird quirk with dialogue.
Yeah, I've got to literally turn myself into the character.
Yeah.
In order to, okay, well, what do you mean, Fuji? You know,
I love that.
I literally have to become the character, and that's why my family would be like, "What the heck is this beep and booping and like going on in there?" And it's just me. I've got to hear it. Like, I can't just write it out. I've got to literally hear what's going on, and
Has Corey, you should mention the story of when you were making faces and expressions on stream and we were all like, what's going on, Corey? And it was just like for a video or something.
Oh yeah. I do weird stuff like that all the time. I have a mirror mounted. I don't know if you can see it, but I have a mirror mounted over here. So I'm always pulling weird faces. But in class, when I am like demoing something in class, like I just make all of it. Like, you know, the little kids, like the little 6-year-olds or whatever, when you're drawing and you make the noise of the thing that you're drawing. So you're sitting there and you're like, pew, pew, poo. You know, like I do that. I do that all the time. Like, and then I catch myself doing that in front of like 25, 22-year-olds. And I'm like, hey guys, you got to make the noises or it doesn't count. Like, you know, you can't draw without making the noises. You got to feel it. You got to feel it.
Or you can just turn around and be like, what? What? But
what's the problem?
It is funny though, because like, you know, that is a natural thing for artists. Like, you know, if you watch like Disney animators and stuff, like working on like a facial expression or something, they usually have a mirror. It's like, you know, I constantly catch myself if I'm like drawing somebody walking, I have to like step up and like make the pose and make sure it's like, okay, is the movement right here? No. Okay. Oh crap. I forgot to put they're putting their left foot forward. So I need to have the right arm back. But just to remember that, like, you can just do your own walk cycle and be like, oh, okay, this is unnatural. I got to fix it. Yeah, we're weird. I mean, artists, we're weird people, man. But I love it. Like, what I love is, and Sean, I'm kind of curious about this. For my son, like, because both his parents are artists, our drawing is not like this magical thing. It's just like, oh yeah, everybody's parents just draw stuff, you know. But one thing I've noticed is he is so just like, he gets weird art stuff because he's just like, yeah, that makes sense. You like Corey was describing, you go pew pew when you draw, you know. Have you found that teaching kids, like, they're pretty like open about like their imaginations are like more open than like an adult? I don't know. I'm just kind of curious how that engagement goes.
A lot more. There's a lot more kids where they've got ideas up the wazoo where it's like, how did you guys come up with that? And that's something that would always try to incorporate within the teaching, is asking the kids their opinion, asking the kids what they think, instead of I'm feeding them everything, the answers. No, let's get them to answer it, and let's get some of their ideas and incorporate them so that they can see, this is how the sausage is made, you know? But
yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, but kids, oh my goodness, they come up with some of the most bizarre things, and all you can do is just appreciate it, love it, because it's creativity. It's something fresh. It's something new. I haven't seen it. It's making me laugh, so that's cool. And the fact that they're doing something after I've, you know, presented a way of doing things, and it's cool. It's really cool seeing kids.
That's rad.
Yeah. Well, we're coming up on our hour and a half, which is usually about the length of time we go. But I want to, before we start closing things out, if there's anything that you and besides anything that you want to promote or talk about coming up, because we'll do that. But as far as the topic goes or anything like that, is there anything that we didn't discuss that you wanted to mention, Sean?
I would say this, for anybody that's looking to do classes, particularly comic book classes, definitely contact your local comic book shop. Another avenue, libraries right now. And this is a tip. Not too many people are talking about this. Right now, libraries are gearing up for the summertime programs. They need programs. If you've got something, an idea, if you want to do creating comic books for kids, go do it. Go contact your local comic book shop, library. Better yet, if you want to try going to community college, go ahead and go that route as well. But I would definitely, libraries right now, they keep on, I've been doing these events, and that's what I'm hearing, is libraries really are needing creative people like us. Get in there and do, you know, have a fun time with the patrons.
Hell yeah.
But
also, librarians, man, they're half the reason there are kids' graphic novels like published by Scholastic, right? Like there has been a massive shift in all ages comics, and that march has been like led and paraded by libraries. So you will rarely find a better comic advocate than speaking to a librarian, because they see the kids connecting to graphic novels in their place and they want more of it. So that's great advice.
Yeah.
And talking about what I guess kind of bring this home as far as getting into getting kids into comics. That's what's so cool, because that wasn't always the case. I mean, comics used to be looked down upon as far as libraries or in school and things. When I was growing up, if you had a comic book in school, that was not, no, we don't have those.
We don't have this smut around here.
Right. Yeah. So that is good news that that parents and teachers and educators are looking to comics as a way to, get kids to read or just further education or whatever. And so yeah, that's what we got to get more of, is just getting some of these kids into comics and because we want this medium to continue on for a long time, and we want cool stuff. We want to create the future comic book creators and everything like that. So, and what Sean's doing, or what he has done in the past, and what I'm sure he's going to continue doing it in some way, shape, or form in the future, we need more of. So, so we're going to, go ahead.
Sean, there's one last question I want to ask. As long as you're down, Sean, are you, do you still got time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Hang on 1 second.
You're like, no, I don't.
There we go.
Final round.
All right.
Okay, but you have to answer in a question, in the form of a question. Okay, so Corey Kerr tends to wrap his interviews up with this, and I think it's one of the most brilliant questions. So Corey, I'm stealing your end question when you interview people, because I think it's brilliant. If you have to tell somebody who's going to teach a comics course, like you have your experience having done it, is there any key thing that you would do different, or that you've learned the hard way that you wish somebody had said when you started teaching comics? Like if there's somebody out there today who's like, they're having that moment of like being before the stage, they feel like they're going to puke, like, they're like, oh my gosh, am I doing this right? Is there any tip you would give them that you wish you had heard?
The tip for myself, if I was to talk to myself, that's the way that I'm going to approach this.
Perfect.
If I could go back and talk to
Sean.
Sean.
How Corey phrases that question. He's much more articulate.
So let me ask the question.
Yeah, you do it.
Just so that doesn't get attributed to me, because that was amazing, Josh. If you could travel back in time to the moment before you got started, knowing what you know now, what would you tell yourself?
I would tell myself to take a deep breath, and that everything is going to be all right. And that, I know I said earlier about getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. I would say that is the mantra.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because anytime that I got out of my comfort zone, I've made moves in life.
Yep.
And with my abilities and talents. And it was each and every time, it was me facing a fear instead of running from it. What I would tell myself is, stop running. You are so tired. Use that energy towards what's going to build you up and possibly others.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That is great. It wasn't in the form of the question, but we'll allow it.
Yeah, that's true.
No, but that's I mean, that's the heart. And I tell it to so many people back when I was doing YouTube videos, like, I don't know where to start. You just start off slow. You'll make mistakes. You'll get better as you go, but you gotta, that comfort zone is just, that's where we want to be. And if you want to get somewhere else, you got to get out of that comfort zone. So, yeah.
And another thing, just a tip for anyone that's looking to do teaching: make it fun, make it entertaining. Don't let it be dry. The other thing is, I would suggest bring in a prize. Make it to where you encourage them to not only listen, but to participate, and reward those at the end that do so. And the last thing is, I've got to say this: if you're doing art classes, the very last class, do a pizza party.
Nice.
Do a pizza party.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's what we did at Drawn to Comics. The very last day, it was them getting the pages all put together, and they would have to fold them and crease them, and then we stapled them together, and then it was pizza party time.
Nice.
That's awesome.
It was victorious for me to see just the look in the kids' eyes. They got their own comics. They created the stories, and it was an anthology of all their creations all into one book, and it's just really cool. Everybody, I'm telling you, there's a certain high you get when you when you can see you're making a positive effect in other people's lives. I don't know.
Epic.
That's awesome. All right, Sean. So let everyone know where they can find you online. Let everyone know if they happen to be local in the Glendale, Arizona area, where they can find you on Free Comic Book Day. Kind of what you're going to be doing there. Anything you want to tell people.
All right, I'm on YouTube. You got to go to Shawnee Poo Tube so you can sign up. I'm working my way to the first 100. The goal is 1K, but the first 100. Next up, SeanSautter.com. Head over there. Sign up for the newsletter so you can find out when my book comes out. Plus, you'll have some background access to some free coloring pages, the first couple pages to Shawnee Poo, the book, and some templates. And then last but not least, I'm going to be in downtown Glendale this coming weekend for Free Comic Book Day. I've got my prints, I've got my shirts, I've got hats too. And I don't know if I'm going to be giving out anything for free. We'll see. But that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Come for the free comics and then support local artists. That's what I always tell people when they get
As a Californian, I want to clarify, this is Glendale, Arizona.
Yeah,
okay?
I was going to say that's it. Yeah.
If you're walking in downtown Glendale looking for close to Burbank, looking for Sean,
you're not going to see a guy with a red hat. No.
I love it.
All right. So we're going to move over. We're going to go counterclockwise. We'll go over to Corey. Corey, let everyone know what you got going on, where they can find you.
So go to CoreyKerr.com and check out the emails newsletter. Got two things going on that I'm in the middle of for that. One is I'm going to continue the series of kind of intentional creativity, like the practices, activities, and lifestyle changes that you can make to increase your creative thinking, backed by science and by my kind of experience with teaching classes. And then the other thing is I'm in the middle of developing a reverse engineer process on how you can kind of learn the techniques that will help you to kind of understand how people are making things. And so you can kind of
did we lose Corey?
We lost audio, Corey. I see
Corey,
some Art Adams stuff up there.
Corey, I think you're muted. Here.
Somehow you're muted, Corey.
There we go. Sorry. Push the wrong button. But yeah, you can kind of see, kind of how I've done this in the past. I'm going to go through and kind of talk through some of the techniques and stuff. And then I've developed an idea of how to be able to kind of reverse engineer, like, not just the techniques, but the thinking behind when to use them and how to use those techniques in like 3 to 5 different value changes.
Smart.
And so I'm testing it out with some students right now to some success. And so I'm making some videos on that. So if you want to kind of learn how to do those types of things and learn from people that are much better than you in the way that I've done that, I'm kind of putting that down. So
that's cool. Yeah. Art Adams is just a master of different textures and stuff. I mean, he's actually got an art book on Kickstarter right now that looks really cool. But yeah, one of my favorite artists. So it's cool.
Yeah. And so I'm going through and kind of doing like how to do it with any style of illustration and how you can kind of apply that to a 5 value sphere shade to kind of reverse engineer different ways of thinking about transitions without gradients. So
that's awesome. All right, Josh, what about you?
Well, I just gotta say, do check out those videos from Corey, because I will just say, as an art director, the ability to assess a visual look and be able to reverse engineer it very quickly is an invaluable thing in the market. If you're ever working in-house anywhere, you will be a superpower on a team with that. So watch Corey's thing, because if he's able to help you with that, that is a skill to say. I will be, right after this stream goes, there will be a launch of my latest blog, which is called On Fighting Dragons.
What happened to Sean?
Oh no, we lost Sean.
Oh.
No.
We'll see if he pops back in.
Okay. Well, anyhow, it relates to what Sean was talking about in the closing. It's on Fighting Dragons, and it's about how, as a storyteller, we tend to root for the heroes that fight dragons, and it talks a little bit about how we as artists should be fighting our hypothetical dragons daily. And then also check out my books, and you're on my YouTube channel. If you haven't, hit subscribe, hit the bell so you get notification when we're about to go live. And that's basically my stuff and my wares. And I was gonna give it to Scott to close out, but I think we're trying to regain.
I think he's just hold on.
Well, as Scott is working, I'll just say to you guys in chat too, we have a brief moment where you can take this time and click that like button. I'm trying to get better with saying that. And this is it's funny because Corey knows me, and so he knows that kills me to have to say every time. And I'm trying to, like Sean was saying, I'm trying to just lean into my fear of that, because honestly, that's just how the algorithm works. So we got to hit that. We got to hit that like button, make us more comfortable with it by actually doing it.
Now I'm off camera because I think's gonna switch to it. There we go. All right. Okay.
Emma said, if you could choose any celebrity to get tickled, who would it be? Probably Elmo. I think just right there.
I would say Noam Chomsky.
Oh, okay. I changed my answer and agree with Corey. That's a good one. Wait, Werner Herzog.
Yes, that would be an equal tickling. I wouldn't want to do the tickling on either of those.
No.
Yeah. Emma says
all
Justin
right. Oh, here he is. He's back. Okay.
Good.
There you
Johnny
go.
Poo.
Okay. Just in time for us to close it out. All right. Okay. So as far as me, you can find my stuff at circworks.com, where I've got all kinds of tools for making comics, plus my comic book Young and the Dead, Kids vs. Zombie Adventure Story, which I will have copies of on Free Comic Book Day. I'll be signing those, plus doing sketches and things like that. So I'll be at Surprise Comics if you happen to be in Surprise, Arizona, or maybe you go visit Sean in Glendale and then want to make a trip. There was one Free Comic Book Day that I went to, I think 6 different free store or comic stores. And I did a whole vlog about it somewhere back in my YouTube thing, but you don't have to go to just one. You can hit them all up, because a lot of times they have they've got limits on how many of the free comic books you can get. So if you can if you can plan it right, you can go to different ones and get more free comics. And like I said, the whole idea is to get people in the store. So go get your free comics, but also support, if there's local artists there, support their stuff, buy some stuff from the comic store and everything. And bring your kids, because we're looking to get kids into comics. So definitely, try to get out. If you have a local comic store or more than one in your area, go make the rounds, get out and check those comic stores out. And they're usually, I mean, I love the free comic book titles, because they, obviously they're trying to rope you in, so they want to put out some good stuff. So it's usually pretty good. You're usually getting good stories and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And usually a pretty good variety of different comics from different publishers, different age groups, different styles, everything. So it's kind of a bouillabaisse of different kinds of comics. So you get a feel for, the fact that comics aren't just super. You definitely get superhero comics, but there's all kinds of other stuff that if you're not in the know, you'll be educated on, and that's how we get people into comics, letting people know that there's something for everyone. So So come out, bring your kids, bring whoever, and introduce some people to comics. So once again, Sean, thanks for coming on, and good luck at Drawn to Comics. It's been a while since I've been to that store, but it's a great store, and I know. Do they still do the thing across where they do the thing with the library and everything across the way?
Yes, they do.
Yeah,
yes, they do.
yeah. So they've got a library. They put on a pretty big event, and it's downtown Glendale. So they got a big kind of it's kind of a courtyard at downtown Glendale. There's a bunch of cool stuff, a bunch of antique stores and stuff, and just make a day out of it. It's kind of cool. But like I said, also get over to Surprise Comics because they've got a really nice big store there, and so, but, and like I said, I'll be there signing comics and everything on Free Comic Book Day. And so for anyone that's probably, if you're on the East Coast, it's probably over, but I just wanted to wish May the 4th be with you. And if it is already Friday where you guys are, then what is it, Revenge of the 5th or Cinco de Mayo? So go out and celebrate whatever day it is for you guys. So, all right. And again, thanks to everyone in the chat. Thanks for chiming in, and we'll see you guys next week. Oh, wait, no, totally forgot. So the Artcasters, we do this show every single week. And it kind of rotates between Josh's channel and Corey's channel. It's no longer on my channel, but I still host like I'm hosting now. I'm hosting it. I'm putting it out to Corey's channel. But I'm sorry, Josh's channel. I'm all confused. I originally put it on Corey's, and then
Scott, you're confused. Yeah. How can you avoid that confusion to follow which channels it's on?
Well, I'm not confused. I just haven't got to that point yet. But I was going to say, because it can get confusing with all these different channels. Sometimes we're on different days or whatever. If you want to know exactly where we're going to be, who the topic is, who the guest's going to be, then join our mailing list. There's a link in the description of this video. We don't spam you or anything. We just usually about 30 minutes or so before we go live, we send out a newsletter with a link to where we're going to be. Unless you got this week's newsletter, then you might have went to Corey's channel because I made a mistake on which channel we were supposed to be on tonight. So, but typically we do it right. So sign up for that newsletter.
But everybody is always welcome on my channel. So
yeah, that's true, honestly. Yes. And while you're at Corey's channel, if you were there and came here and you're not subscribed there, go subscribe to Corey. Okay.
Definitely subscribe to Sean's channel because he's, like I said, he's looking to grow his channel. You can see his enthusiasm and everything. Yeah. So he's definitely good on camera, and he's doing some cool stuff. So definitely go check him out. I think you said you got another live stream coming up this week or
next week.
Next week. Okay. Yeah. So go find it's Shawnee PooTube, right? On YouTube.
Shawnee PooTube.
All right. Definitely check that out. Yes.
Last thing. You guys who are on my channel, in about a minute after we end this, there's going to be a premiere of that vlog on this channel. So just saying.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Awesome. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week. Thanks, everyone in the chat. Later.
See you.